scientists dug up ancient ice fossils from the Antarctic. When they pulled it open with a knife, they saw an ancient human hiding inside. The scientists used gamma rays to scan the fossil and found that the limbs and organs were still intact. This scene immediately excited the scientists. They immediately brought in heat lamps and baked the ice sculpture. As the ice slowly melted, a reddish-white savage reappeared. The crowd rushed to remove his fur coat. But strangely, there was not a single trace of frostbite on the savage's magnificent body. Just as the scientists were about to dismember him, they noticed a slight change in his pupils. This indicates that the wild man is probably still alive. So the scientists pushed him out of the dismemberment room and quickly went to the emergency room. After attaching a detector to him, as expected, the savage's brain waves were fluctuating slightly. The discovery was so dramatic that everyone in the room was instantly thrilled. Immediately, they pumped the savage with nutrient solution. Expensive oxygen was pumped through him as hard as they could. After 10,000 electroshock treatments, the savage miraculously regained his heartbeat. With a sharp intake of breath, the savage, who had been frozen for 40,000 years, came back to life. But when he looked at the unfamiliar surroundings, he became very irritable. The scientists had to give him a shot of tranquilizer. Only then did the savage calm down. The savage woke up and found himself back in the original forest. Looking at the beautiful surroundings, the wild man was so excited that he hurriedly gave himself a free shower. After that, he set a trap in the cave, attracted the boar of the opposite sex by roaring, and then quickly and smoothly captured it. Then he sets up a fire and starts roasting the boar. It's a good life. On this day, he was fishing in the river when he suddenly pulled out a water pipe. The wild man was puzzled by the sight of something he'd never seen before. So he followed the hose to a steel door, and when he opened it vigorously, he ran into the scientists still working outside. The sight scared the wild man so much that he couldn't move. It was only then that he realized he had been locked up by someone else. Angry, he went to a high place and roared at the sky and started to make trouble. Seeing that the situation was out of control, the crowd rushed to give him another shot of tranquilizer, which barely calmed him down. But in order to get more secrets from him, Jack decided to enter the ecological garden to communicate with him. But as soon as the two of them made eye contact, Jack was knocked down by his opponent. The savage then quickly grabbed a rock and tried to kill him. But the savage didn't really do anything. He just picked up his hand and sniffed it, then confirmed his gender with his hand, and then let his guard down. Then he communicated with Jack, and with the scientist's translation, he learned that the savage was once the leader of a tribe. All of his people had a sacred bird tattooed on their chests. As the conversation progressed, the two became good friends. After Jack gained the trust of the savages, he brought his girlfriend to the eco park. The moment the wild man saw the woman, he instantly became interested in her. The savage grabbed the woman's hand and sniffed it greedily, then excitedly grabbed the tape for her, even going so far as to open her legs to check her sex. Luckily, Jack stopped her in time, so that nothing strange happened. But the savage, in order to express his love, even took out his own treasured shits and shared them with the woman, and signaled that she could eat them. In order to stabilize his mood, the woman had to eat all of it. While they were chatting happily, a helicopter suddenly stopped in the air. The wild man was extremely excited. He ran towards the helicopter like a madman. He kept shouting "God Bird" and making strange movements. Only when the helicopter left did he regain his composure. But after that, the wild man began to mope around and draw weird patterns on his body, as if he was performing a mysterious ritual. In order to figure out the secret, Jack immediately went to the local tribe and learned from them that the bird the savages had been looking for was the sacred animal of their tribe. Just 40,000 years ago, due to the lack of food caused by an ice storm, many people were starved to death. They thought it was the bird's punishment. So the leader of the wildlings decided to sacrifice himself to the bird in exchange for a better life for his people. Jack was touched by the spirit of self-sacrifice of the savages. He couldn't bear to see Savage being locked up and studied again, so he secretly brought him out. And Savage saw the outside world for the first time since he was thawed out, but it made him smile happily. Just then the helicopter flew over again. This instantly made Savage excited. In the next second, he grabbed the base of the helicopter and flew up with it. Just as the pilot was about to pull him up, the wild man suddenly let go of his hands and sacrificed himself forever to the bird of his heart. Even after 40,000 years, he fulfills his mission perfectly and dedicates himself to his family. This is the 1980 for American science fiction movie Iceman. A savage frown scene for 40,000 years is found by scientists and thawed out and brought back to life. When he woke up, he thought he had returned to the primeval forest and lived a carefree life. One day he suddenly realized that he had been locked up by someone else and he became very irritable. The scientists sent a man to communicate with him in order to find out more about him. After talking to him, the man realized that he had sacrificed himself to save his people. He decided to release the savage back to nature. But when he saw the so-called God bird again, he jumped out of the helicopter and sacrificed himself. This story tells us that even though the savage has been frowned for 40,000 years, he still can't forget his mission and sacrifices himself to save his people. I am Zero Sense Film. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.